Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Thank you so much for watching us live on Facebook and YouTube. And we invite you to visit our webpage, hollywoodmatrimony.com. You'll see it right there. And then also check us out on the Instagram and the Twitter at Hollywood Matrimony.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. All right, so share the show. Tell
And this
people.
week we don't have that much to talk about.
Tell everyone you know. Actually, we do,
We have
because
three
one of
things.
them's going to take a long time because we got to talk about all these other things to talk
Yeah.
about the one thing.
Do we though?
Yeah, we do. Don't be. You're all grumbly about this one, and I don't know
It
why.
wasn't very good.
It was all right.
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't horrible or anything. It was just,
Anyways, where do you want to start? What do you want to talk
I don't
about?
care. We can start wherever you want. Why don't you tell us about the one you watched?
Oh, okay.
So you
So
need to tell the backstory about this.
I
first.
mentioned this movie. I didn't even bring it with me. I have it here in the house. I should have
Did you
brought
not
it.
bring up a picture? Or did you not do
Yes, I
anything? Let's
did.
just do that. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Nobody needs to see that.
Well, I wanted people to see it that I actually did watch it. I had it in my grubbies.
I think people can see that will believe you.
All
You
right.
don't think they'll believe
So
you?
I watched this week The King's Daughter. I had been talking about this one on the show and just saying like, this just does not look good, because the preview we saw, the trailer, was not good. It did not look good at all. It looked like a super cheese, made for TV, independent. I had $1,000 and I spent it all to get Pierce Brosnan in a movie. Like, that's what it looked like to me. And I was just like, this is going to be a horrible piece of shapoopy. But you know what? You knew what I was going to say. It wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. So basically, the story is there's a king and his estranged daughter.
Is this the one that's about a mermaid or some weird?
The king wants to be king forever.
Oh, that's true. I remember the trailer. This was trash trailer.
And so it was. So they tell him, well, if you get the blood of a mermaid or whatever, you will live forever. So they go and capture a mermaid. And throughout the course of the movie, you see that the king's daughter and the mermaid form this bond and this relationship and a friendship. And so she wants to help the mermaid escape. And that's basically the whole premise of the movie, is trying to get the mermaid to escape, but the king's trying to stop the daughter. And of course, the daughter falls in love with this guy, and it's a forbidden romance because she has to marry this other country to bring peace to the land or
just
whatever.
To marry a country?
Well, the son of this other country, you know how in olden times they were wedding people off to get peace and make deals. So, anyways, that's basically the whole point of the movie. Okay, so Pierce Brosnan is fine. I'm normally a super fan. Like, I've always loved him. I thought he was a very nice looking older gentleman. But he was just like, meh, okay, fine. The main girl I really like, and I know her from somewhere else, but it's Kaya Scodelario. And I don't know what I know her from, but she did a good job. I enjoyed her in this movie. It's really following her story because I don't know. Can I give a little spoiler? I don't think anybody's going to see it. Hold on.
I'm not ever watching this movie.
Let me throw up the thing that tells you we're doing a spoiler. She's living her life in a convent, not knowing who she is.
And she don't know her name or anything?
She knows her name, her first name, but that's it. And so through a series of events is that we find out she's the king's daughter, which I don't think that's a spoiler. It's on the poster. I mean, but anyways.
She's from the Maze Runner and
oh, okay.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay, I probably know Maze Runner. She's the girl in the box, the only girl they've ever had in the box. Okay, thanks.
She's also from, I think she's the main girl in Crawl.
Oh, she was in the last Resident Evil. The one with the daughter in Resident Evil. Anyhow.
She's the main girl in Crawl.
With the alligators. Okay, awesome. So then I do know her. She did really good. The best thing about this movie,
credits,
the costumes, because we are in old Paris during that time of the whatevers. And so I don't even know my time periods, but we're in that time period
of the whatever.
This is like King Louis whatever. So we're in that time, the Baroque era, if you will. But the costumes are beautiful and amazing. And I mean, I guess Pierce Brosnan looks okay with long hair, but the costuming was really attractive to me. And a lot of the music, because There's a lot of music writing and orchestrations and little quartets here and there, which I know has nothing to do with the movie itself. But to me, the music and the costumes were the best thing about this movie. Secondary would be secondary would be her and the mermaid relationship. Next would be her
that
and finding love.
CGI or whatever they did.
It was fine. I mean,
don't lie. I can tell from that statement that was a lie. That was a blatant lie.
It was fine because there's a lot of sequences where she gets in the water with the mermaid and she grabs onto the mermaid and the mermaid's taking her all around the underworld thing, but it's like for minutes at a time. And I'm like, she's got to breathe at some point. I mean, besides being a queen daughter, she also like a master whatchamacallit that can hold her breath forever. Like, I don't know. But anyways, it's a fine movie. It's about love, family, freedom, the ability to just be you, no matter what you think responsibilities are put upon you, which I needed to take this message for me. So not trying to just live up to those family expectations, but being your own person. So that is The King's Daughter. It's obviously available now. I guess it's available. Oh, it comes out on Tuesday, actually, on the DVDs.
Is that obvious that it's available?
Yeah, it's coming out on Tuesday. So, I leave it to you, gentle viewer, if you would like to watch it. It's okay. I don't know that I'm the main age range for this. Maybe someone a tiny bit younger would find it more appealing.
Because they wouldn't understand how bad it actually is.
I'm not saying that. I just think it might be more of like the tweens or the teens might really fall in love with the drama and the love and the story of a life-giving mermaid.
Yeah, well, it's a movie I'll never watch.
Correct.
An official review from this young lady will be hitting our website.
It'll be up soon. Yes, thank you.
What do we got next?
All right, so next, let's talk
the two theatrical releases this week.
Well, you want to talk about this?
You want to do that one first, or do you want to talk? Because I figure there's probably more to talk about in franchises.
About this one?
You want to do that one first?
But which one's the big one? Did that one do well?
I don't think it did great. But it's been out since Wednesday.
This is one of those shows where we have everything that didn't do great. It happens sometimes.
Well, and I think
they can't all be blockbusters.
Well, like the new one. Just pick one, and then we'll go with it.
Okay. Well, let's go there. Let's go here. All right. So we have the new film from Academy Award nominee Mark Wahlberg, or as I will forever know him, Marky Mark. I know he's way past that, but I'm still there. This is a new movie called Father Stu. It came out this weekend for Easter weekend because it is a faith-based movie. It is based on a true story of the real Father Stu.
And Mark Wahlberg put up most of his own money to make this movie.
Mark Wahlberg is a very devout Catholic man. He gets up every morning very early to do his prayers and then pumps some iron.
Yeah, very much.
But so I'm sure he's very connected to this movie.
He not only did
this project.
So it's interesting, kind of a side note to this, that he talks about how he's had to constantly bounce from church to church.
Really?
Because he gets a lot of people at churches. He's like, I don't go to church to visit with people.
No, you're going for you.
For his faith and to pray. And he goes, I go to visit with God,
Yeah.
But he goes, a lot of church people at churches and stuff, they start pitching him stuff. They want stuff, including the priests and stuff. He goes, all kinds of people. He goes, so he bounces around a lot of churches. He said there was one specific church that a priest told him the story and mentioned it to him. And I don't know if the priest had wrote the book or what it was. Anyway, so it had kind of resonated. So this has been years and years and years that he's been wanting to make this happen. And it was actually, I think it's when he made Daddy's Home 2 with Will Ferrell. Because in that movie, Mel Gibson plays his dad.
Oh, yeah.
And he, I don't know if that's when they had the conversation or that's when the relationship began, but he had a conversation with him about, or maybe it was just his inspiration, maybe not conversation, inspiration. Because the same, Mel Gibson went through the same thing, wanted to make Passion of the Christ.
When he made The Passion.
And nobody wanted to let him make it. They thought it was too controversial. So
he just did it himself. Yeah.
So that's this movie as well. Mark Wahlberg put his own money into this movie.
Yep.
Which is something they tell you never to do.
Yep.
But he believed in it. And he's also planning, with this movie, it's kickstarting their new production company that is about faith-based films.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he's even said that in his career, he wants to start doing more faith-based film stuff now.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen with it. But so far we have fathers too. Tell us what it's about.
So it is the story you'll see here in the poster and in the trailer about this guy who is really just the furthest thing you would think of if you think of a priest. He's just getting arrested all the time. He has a lot of issues. I believe he's an alcoholic. His parents are a mess. His parents are what's the lady's name? Shoot, I forgot her name.
Jackie Weaver.
Yes,
the actress.
And Mel Gibson. So, and they are all. It's so dysfunctional. But he sees this little hot senorita, and I think he's at a rehab or some facility he's ordered to go to, and sees this little senorita and finds out she goes to this church. So he goes there to hook up with the lady, and she's like, yeah, no. So it actually leads him on this journey of finding not just himself but faith, which gives him the basis to continue on and really kind of change his life.
Yeah, and he ends up really just doing the faith thing to be with a girl.
Yeah, at first.
You know, like it's not that he's just not just saying I'm cheating this so I can have sex with her, but it was because that was part of being in a relationship with her, is if you had to find some sort of faith, and that kind of gave him a path, because he was already struggling himself with his life after his losing his weight, because he was a boxer and all that stuff, you know, but his parents obviously were not.
Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, later on stuff happens to his character and he becomes ill, and it all goes back to that first thing. You know, there's a first montage of him training, working out, fighting, and all this stuff, and he ends up in the hospital, and they're like, yeah, you can't do this anymore. So that's where I think he really spins out of control. He just doesn't know what to do with his life.
Anytime something that you're passionate about and love and is all you do, your entire focus is at, and when that's taken away from you, that's what causes most people to either find something to make themselves better and force them into a new scenario, to something they would have never done before, or it makes you crash and burn and end up being on drugs, an alcoholic or homeless or something, because you have no other options. You don't know what to do with yourself.
So I was going to ask you, because you're not supposed to fight anymore either. How does that make you feel?
It drives me nuts.
But does teaching so much actually help or not?
I love teaching. It's fine, but it does not fill that void. It's more, I fill the void now because I've just gotten over it.
Nah.
Like, it bothers me. Yeah. And it bothers me more when I'm in class and we're fighting and I'm the only one in the room not fighting. And they're like, why are you not fighting? When somebody asks me why I'm fighting is when it bothers me.
Yeah.
Some people know, the other upside that I have, which is a luxury a lot of people in this situation don't have, is I'm in charge. So I'm the person that doesn't have to do anything I don't want to do. I'm not a student. I'm not one of the assistants. I'm the person
You're in charge. So
nobody asks why am I not doing something. They just assume because I don't want to. And I don't have to.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
And there's never a question. It was like, but you get it from the little kids sometimes.
Yeah.
Why don't you fight? I want to fight you. I would, and I still fight. I just can't.
Yeah.
I don't fight
kids
the black
do
belts.
That a lot.
I don't fight the black belts most of the time because I don't trust myself. Not because I'm afraid of getting hit anymore. That'd be bad, but
you're going to get hit.
It's because I don't trust myself to not get into the moment and then start fighting aggressively. And then we all get into it and have a great time. Next thing you know, things potentially happen. And I could probably fight for years and years and years and nothing ever happened.
However,
it's the one time that something does happen.
However, you're currently suffering the consequences of all your early fighting, which is what we see happen in this movie. So I didn't know if you made any connection to that while we were watching it.
Not at that, because I didn't dwell on it. Like I've had those connections in some things, whether it was a loss of a child or the hearing loss thing. When that's the focal point, this is not the focal point.
No, this is a different illness.
When they first talk about it, I'm like, that sucks. I know what you're feeling, brother. And then he moves on. Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, I moved on from that. But
okay. Yeah. That's good. Okay, I was laughing because the last time a little kid's like, Mrs. Blakey, why don't you fight? I'm like, I'm not allowed to fight children anymore. I got in trouble. And they're like, okay.
Let's be clear. She didn't get in trouble for fighting. She wasn't fighting when she hit a child. So I'm just saying.
No, but last time I fought, I think I made someone throw up. So
that's all right. That's a successful fight. Is what that is. Yeah, I'm concerned.
Anyhow, somebody posted on our page they thought the movie was too religious. Did you get that?
I didn't at all. I don't think
Which I'm open to everyone's opinion.
It's not a preachy movie. It's really about a guy's own journey to not only find something that he's passionate about, find a way to better himself, which ends up taking him on a journey that's actually fighting for his own life. And you could say he's fighting for his soul, because I mean, technically, I guess he is.
Yeah.
But he's not a horrible person to begin with. He's not the greatest person.
He's a broken person, but we all are.
He is, but he's not like like I honestly thought, because the poster showing him as his mugshot and then his pre-shot.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to get a guy who's just constantly committing crimes and beating up people and on drugs, and while there's some of those elements there, he wasn't just this bad, horrible criminal. He was just a normal guy who was just kind of a ruffian.
He's really lost, I think, after.
But it was from his upbringing too. Yeah. Like his whole upbringing was aggressive and a little bit racist and a little bit angry, and it was dysfunctional. And in turn, he grew up there and probably channeled all that as a fighter. Yeah. And was able to be a good person or better person because of being the fighter. But like a lot of the fighters you see, that makes him aggressive in real life too. Not all of them are like that, but it is a balance. Sometimes they don't know just how to turn it off. Yeah. And in this case, even when he's getting to be better and becoming a better person and finding a new thing, it takes the accidents and the illnesses and the things that he deals with to really make him change as a whole. So it was almost like he needed those things. He needed it was kind of, if you really look at it, the entire movie is a metaphor of a fight. Like, when you're fighting, you do a certain way. When he was fighting at first, he was in the best shape of his life. And I think Mark Wahlberg was probably in some of the best shape and really big too. But if you're winning, you keep fighting the same way. When you start losing your fights, you start changing the way you fight. You got to look at what mistakes you're making. So like in this case, he can't fight anymore. So he's trying to do this. He gets knocked down. So he tries to find this. He gets knocked down. And you keep getting knocked out and you keep getting up. But then when you start getting hit and it starts affecting, you got to learn to bring your hands back up. And you got to, so in this case, it's a series of punches that keeps hitting him in his life punches that keeps changing his trajectory of what he wants. And even when he does the right thing, there's still things in his way that he pulls him all the way back. So like there's a whole element of his priest journey that doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. And all of a sudden you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. It's like, that sucks.
Yeah. And then another punch hits, which it's those life things of saying like, well, okay, well, now you've changed your life. You're being a good person. You're trying to do what's right. And it's getting worse for you. Yeah. And but it's also how life is.
That's how life really works. Yeah. So I asked you that because for me, I rarely find a movie that I find to be too religious, but because I'm super into that. So this was perfectly fine for me. I
don't like them when they're preachy.
And seeing that doesn't bother me either. But
well, my problem,
I get it though.
My problem when they're preachy is I think it detracts from the story of the movie they're telling.
Yeah, and this wasn't. This was really just to look at his life.
Like I have a major issue with that. That the people that put out those movies, they might be giants or whatever they're called. All those movies that church that makes those movies.
Yes, the prayer closet one.
Yeah, because the movies have potential, but every movie is forcing religion into the story. It's not just like taking a moment, like that giant movie and the whole thing with the stupid scene, them crawling down this field. Like that is enough being the motivation to show you got to persevere and you got to push. And there's your lesson, but only for the guy to have to now kneel down and give him some religious Jesus discussion because they're trying to shoehorn in the religious side, not just the perseverance or the pushing yourself message. That's the stuff I don't like is when it's purposely like even Passion of the Christ. I don't think is preachy.
No, I love that. I want to watch that again, but it's so hard to watch.
It's very preachy, but it's because it's telling the story of the crucifixion. It's not preachy because they're trying to shoehorn in. The only thing that movie is missing is ninjas.
Okay, well, there weren't ninjas in that time period.
You don't know.
I mean, I don't think there were.
You can't see them.
They're not in the Bible, so he didn't put it in there because he based it on the Bible. Now, tell me though about Mel Gibson, crazy Mel Gibson, who we don't like in the world. How do you think he did in this?
I thought he was great in this movie.
I did too.
I mean, of course, I feel he might have played Mel Gibson in this movie.
He was himself.
He was crazy.
He was a little bit crazed.
But even though he's not in the movie a ton, he even has kind of a redemption arc.
Yeah, he does.
And it's hard because it's a weird change.
Yeah.
That it just kind of shifts. And there's not a discussion about change. There's no epiphany.
Mm-mm.
It's like I don't have a choice but to do this to help somebody.
Yeah, I think it's done out of love, and I think too when you do love someone and you're trying to help them on their journey, I think you automatically do what you can to help them, and I think that's his story. He does it because he loves someone. Okay, now the important thing we have to talk about is Mark Wahlberg's physical transformation in this movie. The illness that happens later on causes him to go through a major transformation, and he does not look like Marky Mark. He is super chunked in this movie, and you were telling me it was for real.
Yes,
I was like, did they put some makeup and some jowls or what?
I think some of I think there was some makeup.
His face, but his body I think was really chunky.
Yeah, he put on like 30-40 pounds. Hold on, I'm sorry.
Who are you talking to in the middle of our show?
My best friend's messaging me.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do technology, so they don't even know I'm doing a show right now. That's how good a man he is. He doesn't support me at all.
Wow.
His husband may see this and tell him I just said that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was talking about like he put all this weight on. It was 30-40 pounds, but he put it on healthy wise, or as healthy as you possibly can.
Yeah.
He didn't just go eat
cheeseburgers
and pizzas and all this stuff.
Pizza.
We didn't order pizza. What he did was he ate just a buttload of calories. Mm-hmm. Like at some point, I think he was on 11,000 calories a day, and he was eating when he hated it, and he was drinking glasses of olive oil. So he's like, he goes, I did it healthy. It's not healthy, but it was as healthy as he possibly could do it because he's obsessed with his health.
Yeah.
Not just muscle building. He's obsessed with health. Yeah. And he's very particular about what he eats, what goes into his body, and if you ever watched Wahlburgers, you might think that's silly, but yeah, you'll see him and he'll take like a small bite of something and then puts it away and I can't eat that or whatever. I'm sure he has cheat days because anybody that looks like they have cheat days, but yeah, he was very all in and then immediately went back to training for something else. This is probably the biggest physical change I've seen from him ever.
Mm-hmm. And then how do you feel he did performance wise?
I think this is one of his better performances in a long time.
I think so too. I think it's because he's passionate about the subject matter. I mean, this is who he is and what he believes.
He's one of those actors that I think early on, with the exception of like the Basketball Diaries, which I think was his first film out away from Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch thing. He's really good in that movie, but I think there went through a period of time where every movie he showed up in, he was just kind of Mark Wahlberg. He was good, but he wasn't great, and I think when he hit some films like The Departed and Boogie Nights and stuff, he found his stride. Yeah. And he still has the penis from Boogie Nights in a safe, by the way.
Oh, so gross. Prosthetic.
But he was also nominated for an Oscar for that movie. So, but I think he's found his stride, and I think even when he's in these throwaway action type flicks, I feel like he's somebody that's always trying to give a good performance now. Not that he ever didn't try, but he's found his rhythm. And I think you could see the passion for this project because he cared so much about it. Like he has a lot of emotional moments in here. He has, he's in almost every scene of this movie. Mm-hmm. And it's not like a lot big supporting cast. It's a supporting cast there. He's usually in there with them. Yeah. And so this is him. And it's a smaller film, which we're not used to seeing from him now. Yeah. He's usually big blockbusters and special effects and explosions. And to get to see him still put on a massive physical transformation, but get to push those acting chops in a story that's not something you would normally think is a Mark Wahlberg movie. Mm-hmm. Even though if you know his faith and know his real life, perfect Mark Wahlberg movie. Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was excellent. I love this movie.
Yeah, so it was really good. Anyways. And it had a proper movie ending for anything based on a true story. So I was happy. I enjoyed it.
I did too.
There you go.
And they saved it to open on Easter weekend.
Yeah.
So it opened Wednesday, actually.
Yeah. So that's good.
It was smart. It opened on Wednesday, so it had a few days before the next movie we talk about.
Yes.
Open, so we didn't have to fight it.
Correct. So check it out. Father's Stew. It is in theaters now.
Yeah, I was trying to look at box office to see how it did.
It's exclusive. It says exclusively in theaters.
That's the new word phrasing for everything now, is exclusively in theaters to let people know that if you want to watch this movie, you have to go to the movies.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, guys. Here we go. Let's talk about the next one.
All right. The next one is the latest franchise film with the next chapter of Fantastic Beasts, the unnecessary spin-off series from Harry Potter. And I don't mean that as I hate them, because I actually enjoyed the first two movies quite a bit. The second one is a little, but it's still, I enjoyed them when I rewatched them. I was like, okay, I still enjoy these. I lost interest in Harry Potter after Prisoner of Azkaban. I didn't think most of them after the third one were that great.
That was the one with the werewolf people and all that. That one was really good.
That's the best one, I think, in the franchise. But I think those movies started getting redundant. It felt like the same thing, and then it really kind of left a bad taste in my mouth with that 2-part finale, because it was such a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Of when you make 2 movies and you don't capitalize on really giving any powerful moments to anybody else in the film other than Harry.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, what's his name did?
I know he gets his one thing, but I mean, you have the couple of the couple of people they get ready to fight. Who is it? The Weasley parents, I think.
Yeah.
They turn around, if they're the ones I'm thinking of. They turn around and then it cuts away from them. You don't get to really see them.
Yes.
You see other characters die. It's Titanic all over again.
Yeah. They throw so many people at you, but they don't give you enough time to actually care.
It's like somebody made the movies and then was like, oh wait, this is Harry Potter. We got to go back to Harry. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't give 2 craps about Harry Potter.
So maybe we need to read the books.
No, we don't. Okay, so moving on.
Read the books.
You enjoy that. I'm not going to read it. So this new film, if you don't know, the Fantastic Beasts story is spun off of a book. It's not a novel. Well, I mean, I think they released a copy of it, but it was a book within the movie.
Correct.
Newt Scamander's Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. So they made a movie out of that book, but not the book that's in the movie. They made up a movie. J.K. Rowling actually wrote a screenplay for a movie about that book that he's writing.
Correct.
Did I say that right?
Yes.
Because the actual
we go back in time to follow the man writing the textbook series that you see in Harry Potter.
Yeah, but you get Dumbledore and you get some random characters.
Young Dumbledore.
And you hear about other characters that we know later in the future. You get to see younger versions of some people. So now we're on chapter 3.
Yes.
We had Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. We had Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. And now we're on Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore. And there's been a lot of controversy surrounding it. Leading into this movie, I was already upset because one of the big things that made me happy about the first film, which I knew at the time we went to see it and y'all didn't know, but Colin Farrell was in it, who then turns into Johnny Depp, which is a spoiler, I guess. But if you haven't seen it by now, I don't want to tell you.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
So two of my favorite actors of the time were both playing the same character. I'm like, what? And then, so Johnny Depp was very prominent. He created this very unique, visually interesting character. And then with all the controversies with him and Amber Heard and the marriage and the craziness going on, he got pulled from the film and they replaced him with Mads Mikkelsen, which I don't know if that's how you say his name right, but that's what I'm going to say.
Yes.
I would like to preface this by saying I love Mads Mikkelsen.
I absolutely love him. He's great.
Brilliant actor. And had he played this character at the beginning of the series, he would have been fine. But he's part of the reason it killed this new one for me. Not because he's bad in it, because he's a completely different character. He's playing Grindelwald, but he doesn't look like him. He doesn't act like him. And I get it, trying to do your own thing, but it's like, I don't think you can do that. It's like, at least when they had to replace Dumbledore in the original Harry Potter movies because of Richard Harris dying.
Yeah, that was understandable.
They put makeup on him. They didn't change his face, but they put the same beard, the same costume. And he played it for the most part the same way. I think Mads should have been doing this. And I understand he was trying to be respectful to what Johnny Depp created and not copy Johnny Depp. But third movie's in, you can't change it that drastically.
Yeah, and I think the problem I have with it is that he doesn't look anything like it.
Nothing.
Did they even do the 2 eyes?
He had one eye that I noticed this time. I've seen it twice now because I saw a screening and then I was forced to sit through it again so she could see it.
Thank you so much.
And it's not a horrible movie. Let me just say that.
It's not. I enjoyed the movie. The movie's fine. I do not necessarily like him in this role, like you, for the reasons you said. I wish he would have at least done the hair color.
He got one streak of it here, right? And it's not even spiked up. They could have easily, just like they did in the first film when he was disguised the entire movie as Colin Farrell.
They could have
easily said when somebody sees him the first time, be like, I see you've gone back to your original form, or some stupid throwaway line, because it's a magical world.
He could have just changed his form again to look like Mads, and then now this is what he really looks like.
This could have been what he looked like all along, and
Yeah.
he was doing the other one because that was his kind of crazed persona, or I don't know. There's so many ways they could have done that. You're in a world of magic, and they didn't use any magic to fix that part.
Yeah, so I think the look, it was off for me because they didn't do the hair color. The eye thing wasn't prominent as it was in the other one. He didn't even have the little mustache or anything. I think the other thing that's really strange and off-putting is if I'm going into this and this is like the number one criminal on the planet, he's so subdued.
That's the thing, is he's playing it completely different.
I know, and I think
where Johnny
that's a big issue.
Depp's playing it was subdued, he was kind of maniacal.
Yes, maniacal laugh.
Yeah,
but you have to have that because this guy wants to essentially rid the world of normal humans, non-magic users.
That could have explained away if they had done something that said it's been this amount of time. He's been purging his evil spirit or soul or something to match.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Changed it.
He wasn't at all crazy. Well, there was no excitement to it. It was
every
very
scene he's
subdued.
in is just very mellow.
It's very. You're going to go do this.
My two other major issues with this movie is, well, it's kind of three if you want to call it. It's a very slow movie. It's a lot of dialogue. There's not a lot that happens. When a lot of stuff that does happen, it made me feel like some of the Harry Potter stuff where there's an entire sequence with these little crab creatures and this scorpion creature thing that just annoyed me. Like, it's part of it's awesome and it's entertaining,
it's funny,
but it goes on too long, and it's feeling like.
Well, that's how Harry Potter is.
Exactly. That's what I just said. They do that where they
do that.
And just shoehorn in a giant spider when it has nothing to do with what we need to do with. But between that and then Rebecca Watterson or whatever her name is, the main girl from the first two movies, is just kind of sidelined for no real reason.
Catherine Watterson.
Like, she's a major player in the first two movies, and then without really any explanation other than her job, they just kind of like pushed her away like she didn't matter now. You know, like after being that big involved with the Grindelwald stuff, she should have been involved. You know, or at least brought her in a major way. Like, she's there to like a small cameo.
Yeah.
But it's like, why? Why did you even bring her back? It's kind of a waste of time.
Somebody over here is very upset.
No, it's just it's my irritation comes with sequels. I'm all for franchises. I like continuing stories. I like stuff. But don't set a bunch of stuff up and then forget it. This whole movie to me felt like a middle movie. And it is in theory.
It is in a way.
They're talking about doing 5 movies, but now we're in this conundrum of Ezra Miller has gotten in a bunch of trouble. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't bring him back.
Well,
but the way they're doing him in the movie, it's a 50-50 shot if he would come back anyway. So that could be an easy out.
Yeah.
The Johnny Depp fiasco, I don't really care about seeing Mads again as this character. Now, maybe it won't bother me as much if they make another one because now I'm used to it, you know, but who knows? Maybe with the Johnny Depp stuff changing.
That's also 50-50 what we would see anyway.
Well, the way it ends, the whole point would be the next movie still.
Maybe.
There's a lot of setups of other little things that they kind of leave you hanging. And I know some of them weren't that important, you know, like some of the relationship with Newt and his secretary, handler, assistant, whatever she is. There's a whole story they've been building for 3 movies there, and it's still building. It could never go anywhere, but I'm just saying this movie felt like.
I mean, the wiki tells us what happens with them.
I know. Instead of.
If you go to the Harry Potter wiki.
Well, how do we know?
Because they've written out his story of what happens to Newt.
Well, that doesn't mean it's the real thing, though. That could be just some random. You know, anybody can write in wiki.
I don't know.
You can go edit Wikipedia right now.
No, the Harry Potter one.
I know that's not real though. They just randomly add stuff.
Okay. If you say
anyway.
So. Anyways,
it's not a horrible movie. I didn't hate it as much as I thought I was going to sitting through it a second time. No, honestly, I thought after I was slightly disappointed the first time, didn't hate it, but I was disappointed. I thought I was going to be horribly bored and upset and trying to struggle through. And I had a few moments where I dozed off a couple times, and I had a few moments where I was just like, Well, but at the same time, I enjoyed elements of it.
I liked it. I thought it was a fine movie. I didn't care for Mads Mikkelsen in this.
Yeah.
That's it. That's my only issue.
Really?
Everything else was fine.
Mm.
I think it's a traditional Harry Potter. There's some slow section. There's a little too much talky. There's always one crazy thing with a creature or something because that's the formula.
Oh, I get that, and I'm all for the creatures, but they didn't really show us much.
I don't know. We end up at Hogwarts. So I wore my official.
That was
Hufflepuff.
another big kind of selling point for the trailers. We're like, hey, we're gonna be going to Hogwarts, and we barely go to Hogwarts. You're there for a couple seconds and then you leave. And I know these aren't supposed to take place at Hogwarts. I get it. I'm like, it's just, I don't know. It's that gray area of pandering to the audience, but not pandering to the audience because you want to create your own world. But when you're playing in a world that's extensively created long before you came along, and now your third movie into that series, I think it needs to be understandable, especially in this case when the Johnny Depp fiasco happens. They should have made it to where, okay, we're going to give a finite ending to this specific film so that it kind of feels complete. And then if something happens and we can't make another one, this trilogy's done.
Yeah.
And I also think it struggles because it didn't have the book series to work from. It's her writing new stuff every time.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of it feels clunky at times. It doesn't feel like one thing I will say about the Harry Potter movies is even when I didn't like them, they still felt like a natural progression and flow of the characters and their different years at school and growing and the relationships and all that stuff works, So because I don't hate it. I'm all for them making the fourth and fifth film if they can do something with it. I don't know. I just felt like this was just kind of a misstep.
I was fine with it, except for
ironically, and it's publicly known, but I'm not going to spoil it here. What was your feeling about some of the relationship stuff, connections with Dumbledore and Grindelwald? We know that they were friends or whatever, and it kind of the point of the movie. They give more secrets to their relationship.
I thought we knew that about Dumbledore.
I think we only know because I think it's been talked about. I don't think we ever heard anything in the movies or anything.
Well, I think I knew that, so I wasn't as shocked.
Because I was kind of waiting, because I didn't know if you knew that or not, so I was kind of waiting for you to be going like, but not in like a overly shocked way.
Then I wonder about what's her name and what she said about transgender people.
That's the point.
That's what is confusing to me as an individual who wrote a character.
Yeah, writes in various things. Because there's even a moment at the end of the movie, did you catch? It's a throwaway moment, but where it catches the two female characters that hug and then hold hands and go in together. Even though I know that's not what was happening, it makes you kind of imply.
Where?
I can't say without spoiling it.
Well,
I'll tell you later. Anyway, I do want to say there's a black actress. Who was that lady's name?
Oh, she's awesome.
She is so good.
Professor, whoever.
Is that Poppy?
No.
Scroll back up. She'll be one of the top ones.
She's not. No. She's a professor, somebody. I'll find it. Jessica Williams.
Her voice and the way she delivers her lines.
She's the coolest.
Yeah, she was excellent. I really liked her.
She is the coolest. So she's a professor in this, and she's she's the new adventure.
Was she the professor of dark art, defensive arts?
Defensive arts. Yeah, like she's the coolest. I like her. Wherever she is or from, you are the best.
She is the shining light to this movie.
Yes.
Because she's
from California.
She not only has presence, she has character.
Yeah.
Like the way she does her voice and the way she delivers lines.
Because I feel like it was kind of old school New York, but maybe
with some English.
New world English.
And then that period mentality.
Yes. And then did you notice at one point, I don't know if this is a spoil. Well, I won't spoil it. We end up in a country during a time period where Black people are not wanted. And so when they get there, she's like, oh, great. We're here. And if you notice, people were giving her the side eye. It's very subtle. But even within the magic community, people were giving her the side eye because she's a Black woman in this very white, let's say, white power world. And so they were, and I was like, oh, we're going to deal with this issue, aren't we? And so I feel like even the whole magic and muggles thing, we've always dealt with the different classes of people, but specifically here, we're dealing with the races because this is before we even have mudbloods because there is no mixed races yet, which is an issue.
Part
That's
of what this whole movie is
why
about.
he's like, no, we can't have people getting married and having kids and mixing up the bloods, so this is the precursor to all the stuff that happens maybe to Hermione and all that later on. But it's just interesting that we're dealing with sexuality issues, we're dealing with racial issues. I feel like we're dealing with a lot, and I think even Newt's character dealing with the beasts and the creatures that we don't understand, and how, in the very first movie I caught it when he's talking to Jacob when the first time they go into the suitcase, and he's like, oh, we got to make sure to save him from the most dangerous predators out there, which are the humans, which we know we are like the most dangerous thing to this planet. So I feel like there's a lot of good messages for us to take from this, but sometimes it does get slow and wordy. But I'm still a fan. So, I mean, I dressed up to go to a movie and nobody even cares but me.
Well,
So,
if you
whatever.
I think if you like the first two,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll probably enjoy this movie. I didn't hate the movie, so I don't want it to sound like I did.
You
I
just
have a
didn't
lot of
enjoy.
critiques about it because I think there's a lot of missed moments, missteps that they could have done with the film, especially with being in a world with no limitations.
Yeah.
So when it's just like when they did. I know it's a small thing, but when Don Cheadle replaced.
Yes, in
What's his name in
Iron
Iron Man? Terrence Howard
Yes.
as War Machine and Rhodey. There's even one throwaway line to reference the change of actor, where he goes, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "I'm here. Get over it. Move on." And they are telling the audience, "Hey, we know we're gonna move on." That's in a real world situation. We have a world of magic. There's no reason you can't explain away. He could have done the whole thing as saying that I've had to change my face so that I can move freely.
Yeah, so they can't find me.
And the way it ended, he never needed to really circle back. Or that maybe this was the face that when him and Dumbledore were younger, Dumbledore knew, and that wasn't who he became. There's so many. I'm here 5 seconds, and I've created like 14 different options that they could have worked from.
Well, and I think too, it doesn't work for this because if you remember in the flashback from, I don't know if it's the first movie or the second movie, when they flash back to young Grindelwald, it's the blonde guy that really does have the one blue, one brown eye. He was in the vampire TV show, the other one, but that guy really looks like that. That's why I'm like, Mads has to have blonde hair, and he has to have the two eyes.
Up eye, and that was it. But it was so subtle you could hardly tell.
Yeah, because
I didn't even notice it until the second,
the very end, right?
In the end of the movie.
Yes, me too. Because he had to have one blue eye, one brown, which is a real condition that people have. And I was just like, man, we missed so much. I think some of the other characters were really good in this too, besides the Jessica Williams. She's the best, but some of the other characters that we meet along the way are really good too. They add some substance that I agree. If they made a 4 and 5, we'd get a little more.
Yeah. Well, and there's one other character that's the other black wizard guy that's with them that they kind of just half-assed his story.
He's the French guy that we met in part 2.
I know, but what I'm saying is what they do with him in this movie is like,
hey, you go do this.
You go do this. He's there.
Bye.
And then there's a twist to it, but there's never a real explanation to the twist. There's never a moment where it makes him go, haha, which we know that was the plan the whole time, but still, the way it's delivered, it was just like all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But then nobody discussed like, oh, you betrayed me, or oh, you turned on, anyway. It's all right.
I liked it. There you go.
If you like the Harry Potter films, or let me rephrase that, if you like the Fantastic Beasts films, you'll like it. I know there's a lot of people that either don't like these movies at all, they really didn't like the second film, but I've heard some people that felt that this film was better than the second one. I actually think the first two are okay, and so I was looking forward to this one, and I've seen it twice now, and I probably won't watch it again unless I have to for seeing a fourth one.
Okay.
Then I would rewatch it, but beyond that, I'd probably skip this one myself. But if you've seen the first two, you should watch this because there are some things that finish the story, but there's other things that leave you hanging. All right, moving on.
My allergies are not okay.
Is that it then? Oh, that's all we have.
That's it. Yeah, time over to you, sir.
All right. Well, this coming week, we got a variety of things. We got Jackass Forever is getting the Blu-ray treatment. Don't you shake your head. That movie has got so much penis in it.
Wow.
VHS 94, the VHS anthology series. I believe this is the 4th film in the franchise.
Wow.
If you've never watched VHS, they're awesome. There's anthology films with each story is done by a different director. And then usually has like one little storyline that connects them. So like in this case, they found all these VHS tapes at this crime scene, I believe it was. And so they're playing each tape to kind of see what all these things are, and they're seeing all these different crazy things happen. So you have VHS 94, which was actually, I think, a Shudder original. It's coming out. A movie called The Exorcism of God, which I believe is another like demon exorcism flick.
Great.
A movie called The Humans, which I think got a lot of buzz there at Oscar time. We have a copy of it from when they sent me my
for your
Golden Globes
consideration.
So we would watch it and talk about it because
Okay.
it's got Stephen Yeun in it, or Yeun or whatever, from Walking Dead and stuff in it, and Minari,
Yes.
whatever. Of course, The King's Daughter, as you mentioned. Cyrano is getting coming on Blu-ray, which
Cool.
is the one with I just forgot his name. Peter Dinklage. It's the whole Cyrano de Bergerac, Roxanne storyline.
Roxanne.
And it's a
Not
musical.
that one.
I believe his wife wrote it.
Nice.
And my big excitement that we'll talk about next week is the heavy metal is finally getting the 4K treatment. If you don't know about heavy metal, it's based off the magazine. It's kind of an anthology animated thing, but it's for adults. It also features a lot of heavy metal music, Ozzy Osbourne and a bunch of other stuff like that. So you'll probably dig it just for the music stuff. But the new heavy metal 4K edition also includes the movie Heavy Metal 2000, which was the animated sequel they made in
2000.
It's not as good as the original, but we'll talk about both because you've never seen either one of them.
I don't think I've seen them.
So this is one of those movies.
Might have seen bits and pieces. I don't know.
And Ivan Reitman produced the original one. So I believe it's Ivan Reitman.
All right, then.
Anyway, so we'll talk about that.
All right.
That's what's coming up.
All right. Coming out at the theaters or on the line. Tuesday, we have a new movie coming to Netflix. It's called White Hot, The Rise and Fall of Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yeah,
so if you care about that, there you go. Also coming out on video, demand, and digital is a movie called Blood Oranges. It's a dark comedy. Bloody Oranges. It's a dark comedy of just intersecting stories of a young girl, a politician, some retired old people, and everything just goes haywire in this crazy day. There you go. Coming out on Wednesday to Netflix, a movie called The Turning Point. It's about this guy who suddenly meets this other guy, not knowing that he's actually kind of a dangerous thug kind of criminal, and it kind of just jacks up his life, and we have to see what happens. Okay, Friday, coming out Friday, the big ones. The movie The Bad Guys, that's the animated feature.
Is that this week?
Yeah, where you have the shark and the fox and the tarantula and all that, and they decide they're going to be good guys secretly so they can continue to be bad guys and rob people or something. So that's that. The big one I think we're waiting for, The Northman, finally coming out nationwide. It's a Viking movie. That's all you need to know. Go watch it now.
That's not the one. That's not the big one I've been waiting for.
That's what I've been waiting for. The one you're waiting for is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, starring Nicolas Cage, Tiffany Haddish, Pedro Pascal, a whole bunch of people.
Neil Patrick Harris.
I mean, it's going to be cray-cray. But the other one's nothing to scoff at either. We have Nicole Kidman.
Oh, no, I'm very much looking forward to The Northman. Don't get me wrong.
Willem Dafoe, the Anna Taylor-Joy, and Alexander Skarsgård. Bjork. Yeah. Who knows what she's been doing. I did.
He's in it.
So I'm excited about both.
The Northman is the same, directed by Robert Eggers. It's the same guy that did The Lighthouse.
Yeah,
and The
so
Witch.
It could be weird.
Yeah,
but I'm okay with that.
I'm looking forward to that one. Don't get me wrong, but the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, I've been waiting for a long time.
Okay, then also coming out to Netflix is a movie called Along for the Ride. It's a pair of young insomniacs who can't sleep, so they decide they're going to go live a fun teenage life at night. I don't know how you do that. Everything's closed. Some cute things are coming out on Disney Plus. We have The Biggest Little Farm, The Return. It's these people who are turning acres of land into this awesome animal paradise. And then also on Disney Plus, the Polar Bear movie. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see it. Yes, it's the new Disney nature movie.
This will be the first one of the Disney natures in a long time we didn't see in theaters.
We
usually always go see them in the theater.
I love them all.
Well, I haven't, unless it's expired.
That's what's happening.
Cool.
You're in the that's one day.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it for this week.
Cool. Most of our contests are pretty much the same stuff we've had. I'm not going to go through them all again.
Just go check out the website.
Go to website hollywoodmatrimony.com. You check them out. There should be some new ones coming up. There was a lot of stuff that got delayed. So there's a few of them that are still out there. Some of them are fixing to get just taken down, or the link will get shut down because they're over. And we haven't had a chance to just because we've had some personal things happening. So anyway, that's pretty much it.
That's it. Well, thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Don't forget to check out our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com, and then go find us at Hollywood Matrimony on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We will see you next Sunday.
Bye.
Bye. Peace be with you, my friends.
Happy Easter.